Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. A little bit of a chilly morning here in the Ozarks, but so far, looks like it's going to be a pretty day. Just a little cooler, but it is that time of the year. Finally into November. This year's gone kind of quick, but weather-wise, we're finally into the cold weather. Usually it's not uncommon for the month of October to be, that's the transition month around here to kind of get us to the cold weather. And this year it wasn't quite that way. The summer held on quite a good time. So maybe we're here. I think we're probably going to see some 70-degree weather this week. And still, maybe a little bit here and there. But as far as hot stuff, probably not. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I guess I could pick on a particular thing in the news, wars and stuff. The White House has sent a message to Iran that they need to re-enter negotiations with them, nuclear weapons negotiations, which is interesting because the last time that Iran did that, they were made to believe that there was negotiations going on. When in fact the whole time the United States was planning an attack and did carry out an attack with Israel. So I wouldn't be so sure that Iran is interested in getting back into those kind of negotiations. But what I wanted to talk about, though, is just the overall, I don't know, it's partly economic, it's partly just kind of the social temperature, I guess you could say, of America and where we're headed. I've seen a lot here lately and we're not talking like folks like me, whether it's left or right, just the little podcasters and the YouTubers and stuff like that. I'm talking about, well-known economists are now talking and referencing 1929. That we are kind of in that 1929 moment where on one hand things look really good still. There's people making millions and billions of dollars. There's a whole segment of our society that is just, they're bringing in money by the wheelbarrow full. And then there's another segment of our society that is really hurting. They're not to the point, most of them, to utter poverty. They're just struggling. And we're almost to that point to where things collapse and there's a big divide and only the ultra wealthy survive and the rest, just get thrown into almost a third world like impoverishment. And there's a lot of people talking about it. They're talking about bubbles in the markets. The market itself is an entire bubble. They're talking about banking potentially collapsing to some degree, some kind of bail-in maybe. The Fed has been sending tens of billions of dollars into the banks to keep them propped up. Banks have been purchasing gold by just, insane amounts. All indicators that something is about to happen. Now, we have all of that along with this food stamp thing. And I know that the president has said that food stamps will come back. They're going to fix this. So maybe worst case scenario is people that are dependent upon food stamps may only have to go a couple of weeks. I don't know. I'm just speculating, okay? Just play along with me. I'm just speculating that maybe maybe they have to go a couple of weeks, maybe even an entire month. But he's saying that by December, next month, they will have figured this out and they'll have food stamps back. But there's a lot of indicators that when they come back, it's not going to be the same way, right? That a lot of people are going to be cut off, that there's going to be work requirements, all of this kind of stuff. And I have seen in my comments and all over the internet, it's ridiculous that these people that don't work, that can work, that they need to, go out there and get a job and work. And maybe if they still need it, we can help them out, but only temporarily. Put some restrictions on what they can buy. They can only buy basic staples and it's only for a time period, maybe say 3 months to get you on your feet. Unless, of course, you're elderly and disabled. That's different. That's kind of the general, opinion that seems to be going on. And that's why right now the polling numbers are not really showing that, you know, anyone is being disliked because of this, because most of the American population that aren't on food stamps are upset that there's millions of people on food stamps that probably could go get a job. So I'm getting somewhere. I know you're thinking, well, we get all this. Hold on, I'm getting somewhere. At the same time that this is going on, we are watching a revolution happen in America and around the world. Global. This is a global revolution where technology is reaching a point that even just a few years ago, we only thought about it in science fiction, and it's becoming a reality. You can buy a robot, an actual robot, to be in your home that cooks for you, cleans your house, serves you, opens the door, does your laundry, all this kind of stuff. And they're saying that that particular robot that you could buy for about $20,000, which is high, but not really, that within just a few years, will be able to just do all kinds of stuff for you, that you'll basically just become this couch potato in your home. You'll just sit there and do nothing, and this robot will walk around and do everything. Elon Musk says that in 5 to 10 years, the combination of artificial intelligence and robotics will become so just good that most jobs in America are not going to exist anymore. In fact, at some point, most of the experts say that most all jobs in America will be replaced by either AI or robotics. Even trades. I know there's a lot of people that keep saying, well, robots, they won't be able to work on your car. They won't be able to pull wire through a new home. They won't be able to repair your oven. Oh, yes, they will. And they'll do it with much better accuracy and speed, everything. Trust me, they will. There is really hardly any type of job that I can think of right now that could not be replaced by this technology. So the point that I'm getting to is, we have this conversation about food stamps and people working and getting government subsidies, and the fact that, okay, then you should go get a job if you want this. At the same time, mind you, we have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans have been laid off this year because technology predominantly, there's other reasons, definitely economic downturn and all that. But a big reason why a lot of these jobs are being laid off is because technology's taken their place. And all the numbers show that there's just a lot less jobs out there. There's like 1 million less jobs in America this year than there was last year, basically. Plus, there's been, well over 1 million people laid off. So there's less jobs, less people working. AI and robotics is rapidly taking the place of these jobs. So, I guess to bring it all around to is this. Are we starting to see what we've talked about for years happening, where there won't be any jobs? You'll own nothing and be happy. You'll just sit at home and play video games, basically, I guess is what, I haven't played a video game in 25 years. I wouldn't even know which button to push or anything. I just don't. I don't play them at all. So, who knows what's going on? Other than all of the conspiracy theories that folks like myself have talked about the last few years is actually happening right now as we speak. There are thousands, tens of thousands of people in this country that have lost their jobs because artificial intelligence is now doing them for them. There's thousands and thousands of people that have been losing their jobs for a while, and it's picking up due to robotics because they're getting better. And as that blending of artificial intelligence and robotics, especially when you start throwing in quantum computing and all this kind of stuff, it's going to, and it is exploding to the point that there's not really going to be any jobs. So what are these people going to do? You know, what about you and all the other people that are working, that aren't getting any kind of welfare? What are you going to do? What are you going to do when there's no work? You can't go get a job anywhere because there are no jobs. Companies are just using AI and robots. What's going to happen? You see, this is the world that they are trying to create for us. This is that 1929 moment. It's not just a 1929 moment because the stock market is on the verge of doing some big collapse and thrusting us into a Great Depression like we did over 100 years ago or 100 years ago or so. It's because we're at that moment of major change. You see, what a lot of people forget about 1929 and the Great Depression is the aftermath that happened brought about massive change in America. Before 1929, most of rural America was still very rural. You could hardly tell the difference in 1927, let's say, in a small little Midwestern town in America than 1877. There was very little difference. And then all of a sudden, power lines and plumbing and TV and radio and everything else just plastered the country, and automobiles and the Industrial Revolution, while it had been going on for about a century, really invaded all of the country. And a lot of people lost their jobs because and a lot of things changed because the world changed. And we are about to embark upon that. We are embarking. It is happening. And it's going to be massively different because it also includes insane surveillance, and it includes control. You see, if you go back over the millennia, you can watch as societies and humanity go through these types of changes. And I think the elites always had this vision, this dream that at some point they would change things to where they have absolute and total control over the people. And I think, they think that this is that moment. Maybe it is. They think that this is that moment that they can change things. There's going to be a lot of hurt. There's going to be a lot of job loss. If you've watched the World Economic Forum stuff for the last several years, Klaus Schwab, many others, they've talked about this, that this change will bring about a lot of good, but there's going to be a lot of bad happen. People are going to lose their jobs. It's going to be hard, and it's going to be a lot of upset people due to this. And so we are starting to see that happen. Now, I don't have necessarily a solution for all of this other than the things that I've been telling you. You need to be spiritually ready, because the way this is happening, it could very, very easily, probably for the first time ever, truly bring about a beast system. If not, at the very least, it is bringing about a much more totalitarian government. Very, very much, the word freedom and liberty will take on drastically new meanings, right? It's not going to be like it was 250 years ago or even 100 years ago. They will control you. They're controlling your thoughts already with the algorithms online. They will have their thought police and predictive crime units, which already are existing in Palantir. They'll have cameras everywhere, which already exist. Drones, digital currency, everything. They will control every aspect of you. And you won't work, not in the sense that you used to. They'll find something else for you to do. It's starting to really feel like the movie from however long ago, The Matrix. It really kind of does start to feel like that. So I know that the things that I'm saying sound so far-fetched and they sound so futuristic that they're ridiculous and won't happen. But I'm telling you, it is happening. It is happening. These thousands and thousands of jobs, many of them that you are hearing about, Amazon, Microsoft, UPS, over and over again, are being replaced by technology. And it's just going to pick up speed because we're right at that preface, that point, right? that point where we just kind of snowball into something new and different. And I don't think Americans are ready for that. You know, we talk about all these people, these tens of millions of people on food stamps, and they need to get jobs. What happens when no one has jobs? What happens when you can't work? Huh? Just thinking about it. I mean, the predictions are that within 5 to 10 years that, you know, virtually all social media, news, everything will be produced by technology. So even folks like myself or anyone else that you watch, it won't be that. It'll probably be someone sitting at home in their basement clicking a few buttons, and it'll all be produced by AI. I know this sounds futuristic, and unless something happens like some big nuclear war or, you know, something that destroys the technology, it is moving fast. And I think really at this moment, and there is talk in all of this of universal basic income, which will eventually happen too. But I think, and I haven't figured it all out yet, but I think this current thing with food stamps and taking them away and bringing them back, I think that is being done for a reason to kind of open the door, to what I'm speaking of right now. To let you know, hey, it's going to get worse for everyone. This is coming, folks. It may not have happened to you yet. You may be sitting there thinking, I'm a farmer, I'm a mechanic, I'm a tradesman, and it's not right. But there are a lot of people this morning that are waking up and have not had a job for a while, or they've recently lost their job and it was taken by artificial intelligence. And because of their line of work, it's going to be difficult for them to find a job because they're being replaced. And little by little, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 5 years down the road, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And through that, there will be economic collapses and most likely wars and all of that kind of stuff. And there will be, just like the 1929 fiasco that led into everything, the ultra wealthy that party down in Mar-a-Lago with their very worldly partying. If you saw any of those videos, you know, the great, you know, this administration that's bringing Christianity and God back into the White House, having their very worldly Sodom and Gomorrah lascivious parties down there in Mar-a-Lago Saturday night, or Friday night or whenever. Anyways. That's going to be the divide. You better get ready for that. I know I'm painting this really doom and gloom, draconian, you know, harsh, you know, dystopian picture, but that's what's happening. You should probably get yourselves ready for that by preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.